in our when we used to work together in the old office, I would have I bought an industrial,
Oh,
literally like a Home
Jesus
Depot
Christ.
giant 3 foot diameter fan, and I put it under my desk. And on the lowest setting, it was pretty loud, so there was always some white noise. But if I put it on anything higher, it was like a jet engine. It was the best.
This is the kind of fan you use to move air around a massive warehouse
Yeah, I had
in a 3-person office.
yeah, it was personal under my desk for me, Adam.
Yeah, well,
I didn't find that. I didn't find that weird either. I still don't.
it's weird.
I love.
Yeah.
I need to have air moving. I think right
No,
now I'm a little hot because there's not enough air moving.
yeah. Well, but you say it was a personal fan. It was a community fan because it moved air for all of us around the office.
It had a cool feature where, like, if I have to maybe fart, I would just turn it up a little bit, and the fart would disperse really quickly.
Uh,
Oh man, that reminds me of there's one time we had like multiple server rooms in the offices, and one of them was like very small, like maybe 8 feet long or 10 feet long by like 5 foot, 6 foot wide, um, and it was just one network rack or server rack in the middle, and Hudson was behind it, and I was in front of it, and it pulls air from the front and blows it out the back. And you might expect that I'd happened to fart, and then Hudson was got the fart went into the server, and it cooked, and then went to Hudson, and I left and closed the door.
it sucked. It sucked a lot.
That was one of the hardest I've ever. It wasn't like I don't think it was super intentional either. I don't remember. I'm not like a fart in front of people kind of guy, but that just happened.
Yeah. Well, you took every opportunity to mess with me at work when we worked together.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Give me an
One of
example.
one of the worst, the things that sucked the most for me was very early on when I just started working at Rooster Teeth. I was uh, taking a shit in the bathroom, and you turned the lights off and left. He just left. Uh, I don't know if you know many people. I'm sure everybody's aware of the mechanics of taking a shit, but you probably need light.
You have a phone. You can turn on your flashlight.
I didn't have my phone with me.
Who poops without their phone?
I, I I don't know, dude. I eat fiber, so it goes quickly.
Probably
Um,
clean wipes in, so it doesn't really matter.
so
You just have to overshoot it. That's all.
so that wasn't the worst part of that story.
Oh,
The worst part was I cleaned myself up as best as I can in pitch blackness. I mean, this was a completely enclosed as most bathrooms are. They don't have windows, so it's completely pitch black. And as I'm opening the stall door to walk out and flush the toilet, John Reisinger walks in and turns on the light and looks at me. And I tried to explain that it wasn't my fault, and he looked at me like I was the weirdest fucking person he
what's
has
wrong? What
ever
is
known.
wrong with pooping in the dark? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, there is.
I think it's
How do you
hilarious.
know?
I think it's weird to judge someone for pooping in the dark, especially from a guy that can't even smell poop. Uh, I mean, when I was young, like maybe as recent as 10 years ago, my whole life I would poop. I would take all my clothes off to poop, and I would only poop at home, which is part of the reason I would take my clothes. Like I couldn't poop anywhere but home because I needed to take everything off.
It's comfortable
Yeah,
to poop without your clothes on.
yeah. I don't need to anymore or do it anymore. But I don't know when the last naked shit I took was, but those were good poops. I have fond memories of the naked poop.
I still take naked shits,
Yeah.
like right before a shower.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
perfect.
I'm always like, right when I wake up, I poop and then I'll go to the gym and then I'll shower when I get back. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking funny. I never really messed with you in like a mean spirited way. It was always, I tried to be funny. You really thought I was mean?
Now, you didn't intend for it to be mean.
Yeah.
But it certainly ended up being pretty mean sometimes.
The dark poop.
The dark poop. There was one time where Adam decided to hide my keys at the
That
end of the
was
day.
that was the one where I realized that, like, I need to think about my actions more, and I really felt bad. So, like, Hudson left, and it was like, 5 something. Hudson left, to go do something, and I saw that he was sitting his keys were on his desk, and he had a pile of cables that was, maybe 5, 6 inches high. They were just coils of cables, and I said, "Ha," and I put his keys in his desk as I was walking back to or put his keys in the pile of coiled cables as I was walking back to my desk. Like, you couldn't see them, but if you looked in there, they're pretty obviously there. And I thought that would be really funny. So he would come back and I'll go, I know where they are. And I have really bad ADHD. And in about 5 minutes, I completely forgot I did that. And then I left, went home, probably 45-minute drive home. And about that time, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, I look at my phone and I have about 15 messages from Hudson asking where his keys are because he has to leave. Go.
Yeah, I spent over an hour in the office just looking for my keys.
Yeah, that was really bad. And
Yeah.
I am really genuinely sorry. It's funny to think about, but I felt so bad. The next day I went out and I got you a box of kolaches, I think,
Hmm.
and I drew you a note, and it was a picture of me and you
I forgot about
holding hands, and I said, what did it say? I said, like, don't me sorry, don't be mad,
this.
we
Don't be
friends.
mad, friends. uh,
I think
yeah.
that makes up for it.
No, in retrospect, I think I harbor more upset, not anger or resentment, because it doesn't reach that level,
Uh,
but more mild annoyance over the poop, dark poop, than the keys.
I until you just told me that, I don't remember that. I
Yeah.
don't. I never. I guess I never even knew it bothered you. I just thought it was like a mildly funny joke that you might do to someone in high school, like, turn off the lights, haha.
Yeah.
You so sorry about that.
No, no, we're good.
It's
Friends.
pretty funny. I unfortunately did a lot of unintentional things to annoy you
Oh
at
my
work.
god.
There's one. So we worked together for about a year before you said anything. But I was drinking my coffee one day, just a little bit of a like that.
I don't think we even picked that up on the mic.
Well, that's the best I can do. Anyways, he looks at me and goes, "Do you have to slurp your coffee every time you take a drink?" And I was having like 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day, and every time I would do the slurp and then the and
Yeah.
until that moment, I had no idea I did it. Not self aware enough at all, uh, and I could never stop.
No, you couldn't. I mean, did you try?
Yeah, no, I started drinking coffee out of a straw. That helped. But
Yeah.
yeah, I felt really bad. But yeah, until that moment, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so fucking annoying." I felt bad.
Yeah, I don't think the audio quite picked it up because this is making me sound like I'm sort of controlling,
No, I mean,
but it was. I mean, it's cartoonishly loud.
you when we sat in our office together, you sat as far away from me as you are right now.
Uh,
So okay, well, our camera just cut off because the battery died and whatever. But we were talking about you were sitting very close to me.
yeah,
So when I would do this sipping noise, it was extremely bothersome to you. But again, I'm just not self-aware enough to notice. It made me feel bad. I think I want to say part of the problem was we had to use those little sippy lid cups, but I still do it when I drink out of regular mugs too. So, but I think I switched to cold brew for a long time.
yeah, and you would forego any other options of drinking because
What-
you enjoy drinking like that.
Well, I just enjoy drinking out of a cup, and that, for
Yeah.
me, it's hard to drink without the like. It's hot. You do the sippy noise to aerate it and cool it down.
I don't think that.
It's
I don't think that's how that
It's
works.
100% how it works, dude.
We're
This is boiling hot coffee. I can
still
drink it
don't think that picks
because
it up.
I've aerated it.
Not how it works.
I mixed air with it. So in uh, Japan, how they're like, it's okay to slurp noodles. People are doing that partially because it helps cool it down. You're eating it like in Japan, like all the ramen restaurants are like standing room basically. It's like five seats, and everyone gets in. They eat as fast as they can, and they go. And it's fucking hot. They're not sitting around waiting for it. They're going, and they're getting air in there and cooling it down as they're eating it. And that is what I'm doing. I will drink cold coffee and not slurp it, but if it's hot, I gotta do the slurpy slurp. And
Okay.
the that might just be me. I'm not
You're a
thinking
little
of.
flair.
I'm not like intentionally flaring,
Mhm.
but I'm just I got some pizzazz.
Okay, well, I remain unconvinced that it affects the temperature in a significant degree.
Well, maybe I'm conditioned to think that I need to do it, and I'm unwilling to change.
It's fair.
But you got your wish. I quit. You know,
Yeah.
we don't have to work together anymore.
All right.
It's too
Oh,
hot if you
man.
drink it normal. Not good.
All right.
But aside from me slurping, me putting your keys in a coil cable, have I done anything else that is just the worst and I'm the worst person? You make me feel bad.
You shouldn't feel bad because all of these things are funny in hindsight.
They're fun to me in foresight, too.
Yeah. They're funny to you in the moment and to me
I did
much later.
the key thing I really felt bad about. I
Yeah.
really did.
And I was really upset when
Rightfully
that
so.
happened.
Rightfully, dude, it's an hour of your day. Of
Yeah.
course you're mad. I'd be fucking mad too. Uh, you know, I felt awful.
Man.
But good night's sleep and some donuts and a nice note made up for it.
The note really sold it.
Yeah,
It was a
because I meant
hilarious
it.
note.
We friend.
I think I lost that. I wish I would have saved that.
You should have saved. I save
Yeah.
all my. Anytime someone gives me a card, I put that in storage.
No, you do not.
I do. You want to fucking?
Do you
see?
really?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Like
keep all
like
that
when
stuff.
your grandma gives you a card or
And people I care about, not my grandma.
okay. That's fair. Well, so well, how many cards have you gotten that you keep? How many cards do you have?
I have them in different places, but I probably have like 30 something cards around this house
Whoa.
somewhere.
Do you look at them? Is there like do you
No,
get something out of
I
them?
am sentimental and I feel bad. Someone put time and care into this thing for me, and they wrote nice words on there that they may have meant. And to me, I'm like, I feel like I'm disrespecting them by getting rid of them. It's just a card. It doesn't take up that much space. I feel like I keep them for that.
Hmm. I think a lot of people feel that way. I don't feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a hoarder, but I have a lot of like stuff that I'm unwilling to throw away
Mm-hmm.
that maybe I could, but like I have way too many action figures that like some are just on the floor because I don't have any room for them. Some are just in storage. Like probably could get rid of those, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like to. But yeah,
All right.
I saw the D&D movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Was it
I watched that first trailer, and I have to be completely transparent. I've never played D&D. It's not that I'm not a D&D person. I'm not against it. I'm just not exposed to it. You know, I saw the boon of D&D over the past like half decade or so, and I've always been interested. I think part of me is my social anxiety makes me not want to role play in front of people. I feel a little goofy.
Yeah.
But I think in front of like close friends, I'd be okay. And then the other half of that is like I'm really afraid of committing to a long campaign with someone.
Yeah.
and
You don't want to be that person who bails on a campaign that everybody else is into.
totally. Yeah,
Which
I don't
get.
want to start something and then feel like I'm committed and then I'm the asshole.
Yeah.
'Cause
I still want you. I think you would have fun if you did a campaign, a short one. I know we talked about it. A little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
We should do a short one.
You suggested doing like a 1 or 2 night one. I'm probably definitely down for that. Oh, magic. But the movie was good. It was like way better than I expected. There's a good amount of CG, but where they can, they use a lot of practical effects that are really fun. Like a lot of the different race characters are practical and they look great. And
Interesting.
there was nothing about it where I was like, this is overtly bad. It was all like pretty darn good. And some of the choreography, I was like, damn, I feel like we haven't had fun choreography like this in a long time.
Mhm.
And I feel like we don't get a lot of fun fantasy movies. And that one
Mm.
is definitely fun.
Yeah, I should see it. You're not the first person to tell me it's good.
Yeah.
I've heard it from a lot of people, and I would not have expected it to be good.
No, I saw the first trailer. I'm like, this is going to be ass. It's not. surprisingly not ass certified.
You know what movie was ass? Avatar 2.
Oh, dude, I so disagree with you.
What?
First off, do you like the first Avatar?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a cinematic achievement,
To me, it
but
was. When I was a kid, when I watched it at 18, I walked out of that theater and I was like, my life has changed, and I meant it.
I mean, it was pretty incredible. The 3D experience is pretty incredible.
With the original one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I watched it 5 times in theaters.
oh wow,
yeah.
so
I really
wow, that really
I really liked it.
supported you. Okay, so
And this was a time when I worked at 7-Eleven, so those 5 times, that was all my money.
man,
Yeah.
so I liked the first movie. I mean, it was pretty formulaic story. I feel like it.
Yeah.
You know, I knew what was going to happen in that movie.
Yeah.
But it was still absolutely entertaining, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And at the time, and still visually amazing. Maybe less so now, but back then it was really
Yeah.
impressive.
Man, I hated Avatar 2.
What did you hate about it?
It was just so stupid. I mean,
Give me an example.
I mean, okay,
Or
so
give me some
the
reasons.
opening monologue when what's the main character's name?
Jake Sully.
Jake Sully.
Doesn't he have a new name now? I can't remember.
Dude, so he is giving the opening monologue and he's like, "Well, it's been, 10 years since the sky people came." And I'm like, "Bitch, you mean you?"
Yeah.
You.
He is Sky people.
You're the sky people.
He's giving this monologue to other Avatarians, other people from Pandora.
No, I think that was his like internal monologue. He's talking about it as if he is not a human.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess biologically he isn't now. He's a Avatar guy, but I don't remember the names of anything.
Navi. Yeah.
Man, okay, so he lives with the Avatar people,
Mhm.
and then the real bad humans come back
That's right.
because they always will.
Because the main bad guy, this is Avatar spoilers.
Oh
the main
yeah,
bad guy is a clone.
yeah. Let's not make a new bad guy
Hated
for the
that.
second movie. Let's bring
Hated
them
that.
back.
Yeah.
All the same guys.
Yeah.
And just make them do the same, essentially the same plot, just water based.
Yep. Liked all of it.
And so, okay, this is where I really so the opening monologue was pretty rough, and I had low expectations for the story.
Uh-huh.
So they capture the human child. And again, this is
Tarzan.
heavy spoilers. Tarzan. And they are questioning him. Now Jake knows that they're questioning the child, and he knows that he's supposed to keep the tree Navi safe.
Uh-huh.
So he says, "We have to leave, or else Tarzan will know where we are. Or Tarzan will send the humans to us to kill all people." But how would Tarzan know that they left? He knows where the tree Avatar people are.
And when I can't remember when, at the time when Jake Sully's afraid Tarzan's gonna lead him back to the tree.
Yes.
And when Jake Sully says we got to leave, that's where Tarzan thinks he is. And so then Jake Sully is no longer at the tree, so Tarzan will lead him back to the tree, and then won't be there, right?
Yeah. But what that's the part where it loses me. Like, if he's not there, how does that keep the tree Navi safe? Or sky Navi, wherever they are. They're in a floating rock in a tree.
I guess the assumption is like they're not gonna they're gonna go to the tree, see he's not there, and not kill everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I mean, to his credit, isn't that what happened?
Yeah. Okay. So to his discredit, then he's like, let me go find this unrelated group of Navi who I have no issues with, and then bring this world of shit down on them, and just we'll see how they deal with it.
Yeah.
And they initially absolutely are like, no, because of exactly that reason. And then suddenly they're like, well, I know we just said no, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's the whole clone thing makes me just think like, man, we're gonna have this never-ending dumb war. It really reminds me of another character that consistently pursues their enemies that have killed them in another book that I've read. Um,
Yeah,
man,
they don't establish the whole technology where you can mind upload in the first movie.
no, they don't. That is like
Uh,
a that has to be like James Cameron really liked the
s-
actor and wanted to write him in the same way that Ellen Ripley, what the fuck is her name? It's gonna drive me
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver is the her younger self now.
Yeah, that's also really weird.
I just like they want to keep the same actors.
Uh,
I mean, I guess he's just making his friends rich, but that's fine. I am not objective when it comes to Avatar. I'm it
that's fair.
it has like a magical power over some people, and I'm one of those people where I'm just like I really like it. It's so pretty. I love the nature stuff.
I have stuff
Um,
like that for me. Like I absolutely love Pacific Rim.
yeah,
And it's not I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but it's not a cinematic achievement,
mm,
but it's amongst my favorite movies of all time. And I have watched it many times.
it's
Probably 5 or 6 times at least.
it's extremely good, and it makes me really bummed that we don't have more monster kaiju movies or mecha kaiju
Yeah.
movies. Did you watch that King Kong versus Godzilla movie?
Yeah.
That movie's fucking
Yeah,
dope.
it was cool.
Yeah, I was so happy we got something like that.
I just want to see big monsters destroying cities. And
Totally.
I don't think that's a lot to ask for.
Yeah, we definitely don't have enough of that. After that and after King Kong, I was like, why don't we have more of this? And then I went back and watched Shin Godzilla. If you haven't seen Shin Godzilla, I
I
think
haven't.
it is like so up your alley. It's like the Japanese dealing with the problem of Godzilla in a very bureaucratic way. It's amazing. It's
Is
so
it a
good.
anime movie?
No, it's just like I think it was made in like 2012. It's a live action movie, but
Oh,
it's a little more like the design of Godzilla is a little more I think based on like the original Godzilla designs.
okay.
So it looks a little goofy in some places, but like in a really endearing way.
Cool. I'm going to
So
check that out.
yeah, if you want a good Godzilla movie, that might be the best one.
Okay.
So those are movies. I still haven't seen John Wick. I really want to. I really like good choreography. I like seeing dudes
Yeah.
get shot.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun.
Yeah, John Wick's great for that.
Lance Reddick is dead, so that's really sad.
Ugh, such a bummer.
I
So sad.
this is tangentially related, and I saw someone using the word posthumously about him. He's going to posthumously appear in this film in his role as in whatever of John Wick 4, and I realized like, who fuck uses the word? People are just waiting to use the word posthumously.
Wait, I don't understand. What do you mean?
Posthumously, like you appear after you're
Yeah,
dead.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like who? Why do you have to use that word?
Oh, what? Well, wait. What word would you use?
I don't know. Lance Reddick dead, but he's still gonna be in a movie.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's a really good word.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought so too.
Okay.
Um, well, do you want to talk about games or do you want to talk about some other things that are not game related?
Let's talk about games.
Okay.
We have a lot to talk about in terms of games.
Do we?
Yeah. Well, my first question for you is: last week, you said that the Resident Evil 4 remake that you think it just wasn't that scary.
It is not as scary as like a normal hard. Like if you ask me to play Outlast, like I can barely move in those games.
Okay.
But it is still scary.
Yeah.
Like,
I know you would continue your playthrough a little bit. Has that
it's gone.
sentiment held up?
It's gone pretty slow. It's slowed down because it gets scarier in the castle.
Mm,
Um, that's where you start getting enemies. First off, it gets more difficult by like a huge amount.
okay.
They start throwing enemies at you with shields that you have to break through. They start really amping up the amount of enemies that have plagas pop out of their head, which is like their whatever the virus that makes it. It's basically like a parasite that grows inside them, and then like at a certain point they start popping. Like you kill the enemy, and then this giant like centipede will pop out of their heads, and you have to kill the fucking. And it becomes so hard, so it becomes more tense. So
Okay.
it is scary, but I think the better word is like draining and stressful
Yeah.
because of how tense it is. So I end up like playing. They have so many checkpoints. It's basically like a checkpoint between each big encounter, and I feel like I'm playing one encounter at a time, and then checkpointing and be like, nah, I'm gonna play a game where I can breathe a little bit, and then I end up coming back to it. But this week I got so distracted with so many games, I made it a little ways into the castle, killed the I can't remember the name of him, but there's a blind Wolverine in there, killed him, met little Napoleon man, and then I pretty much stopped. The game
Cool.
has some goofy shit. As a little dude that is he's Napoleon stature, like he's like 4 feet tall and he's dressed up in like old style fancy clothes and he's very goofy and his name is Ramon Salazar. Uh, he's a little goofball, but
So that's not a monster. That's a
there. So the one interesting thing about this virus is unlike other like the T viruses, the humans have awareness. Um,
oh, okay.
their minds are altered, like they're serving Lord Sadler, who's the person who's been giving him the virus, I think. But I think he got it from, I don't really know, but I think he got it from Umbrella. But they're still aware. They can talk. They're all infected. Um, and they have some level of self control. I think maybe as the virus progresses for a lot of like the grunts, it gets less, they get less and less human, but they can think
Mm,
and talk and all that stuff, which is
man,
interesting. I like that stuff.
yeah, that's cool. There's not enough of that. I feel like zombie shows in general, just it's always the same zombies.
Yeah.
They're either slow or fast. Those are the variations.
Yeah. I feel like in The Last of Us, they started in the first couple episodes. They started to talk about this. What's the word? Uh, they're all connected via
Oh,
their
the
mushroom network,
the I wanted to say mycelial network, but I think
mycelial
that's
network.
the Star
That might be
Trek
Star Trek too, but it might be
mushroom
this.
space drive.
I think it might be the same. Something like that.
Yeah.
But that like wasn't in the games, by the way.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, like there was no you step on a tentacle and it alerts all of them.
Interesting.
It was really a weird addition, but it's interesting.
Was that one scene where the giant mushroom zombie pops out of the ground?
Mhm.
Are things like that in the game?
Yeah, there's definitely like super infected.
Okay.
Um,
Because that scene was amazing, and I
I
want more of that.
my memory is not good enough to tell me if that exact scene was in the game, but I think that enemy
Sure.
was in the game.
But there's
Um,
variations in the
yeah,
types of
yeah,
mushroom
yeah.
based
And
zombies.
it's kind of harder to tell. Maybe it's not, but in the games, like the clickers are way harder than a regular infected, and they sort of make it clear in the show. But they're such a bigger threat. But so what games are you wanting to talk about? What have you been playing? What have you been doing?
Man, let's talk about. We should probably talk about Gunfire
Game
Reborn
fucking dope.
because
It's been out forever, but like,
yeah,
but suddenly we're playing it.
yeah. Well, so it got a pretty big wow, got a
But
pretty
but
big update recently,
hmm
which is what it popped up on my Steam feed. So I asked you to play it, and we played the fuck out of that game.
yeah, I had played it like once or twice for like 20 minutes, like 2 or 3 years ago when it first got really popular, and it was like overwhelmingly positive, and I was like, I kind of get it. I'm just not really in the mood,
Yeah,
and then I put it down. And then, yeah, I'm so glad you asked to play co-op because
yeah.
holy shit, that game is fun.
So for the people watching that don't know, Gunfire Reborn is a roguelike shooter.
Uh huh.
You go through stages like most roguelikes. It's going to be very familiar. It's first person shooter, but it's going to be very familiar to stuff like Dead Cells.
Yeah.
Um,
The stages are pretty basic.
yeah,
Like there's not a lot of variation in them, but it is procedural.
yeah. After a few runs, you're going to basically recognize every room.
Yeah, and there's
Uh,
there's not an immense amount of exploration or discovery. You're kind of just moving through all these corridors or areas and getting to the
right,
next one.
but there are an absolute ton of guns,
Yeah.
and it's class based. So you'll have different classes that all can they all have their own skill tree. And well, I say skill tree, but you peer at after you clear every level, you'll get cards. You get a choice of 3 cards, and one of those cards will upgrade for something very specific about your hero.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
it's
so,
it's it's a skill tree that is persistent to the run you're in and then not otherwise.
right,
But it really does like I when I first played it, I didn't really understand. I just thought that those were kind of like, generic, you're gonna get more power upgrades, but
yeah,
it really does change the way your player will feel. And each character has a very distinct play style that's a lot deeper than just like your grenade and your ability.
right.
Um, man, that game really lets you break it. And not only
It
that,
does.
it lets you do it in co-op, which there's not a lot of co-op roguelikes out
Yeah.
there.
You said something first day or two we were playing, which really drove home why this is such a fun experience in co-op. And it's really rare that I play a co-op roguelike and I have more like significantly more fun co-op.
Yeah,
Because in Risk of Rain, like you pointed out, you're almost punished for playing co-op.
you're totally punished.
Because yeah, you have to share items.
Yeah, why would I want to be half as powerful
Right.
just to play with it? For like the whole point of these games is a power fantasy,
Right.
and you're only going to get like maybe 30% of runs are going to be the ones where you're really powerful, and if you're never really going to achieve that in co-op, you're not having as much fun.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Uh
this game it's all instanced, so
mhm.
like everyone gets their own version of loot, and on top of that, we can share the loot with each other,
Yep.
and we can drop our scroll upgrades and stuff like that. So if we're building towards something, you can give me something that I need, and I give you something that you need, or vice versa.
Mhm.
And it makes us have more chances to get better runs. I feel like together we're getting way better chances at getting
Yeah.
that super powered run.
Yeah.
Um, but man, it really lets you fucking break. Like
Mhm.
we found one of the first things we found was like there's this gun that when you right click it, it empties the magazine. And my magazine was 8. So I would hit it and it would shoot 8 shots really fast. But then I found one item that was like, hey, if you kill someone, you're no longer going to be spending ammo for 2 seconds. So it ended up like I just right click, and as long as I was killing stuff, that stream of bullets would never stop. I would never run out of ammo. And it's like, that's cool. And then those sort of things just sort of like add on top of each other where eventually like I would have dual miniguns that never consumed ammo and did ridiculous damage and homed in on enemies. And I would just hold my mouse buttons down and look forward, and everything would die.
Yeah.
And it was it. I was like screaming with how much fun I was having, dude. It was
Yes.
like it's so exciting.
Oh man, it's such a great game.
Yeah, I if you have not played that game co-op,
Yeah.
holy crap! It's fun alone, and I played a couple runs alone. But when we're doing co-op, I'm having so much more fun. And it's probably due to the like
Yeah.
build stuff.
It really more than most roguelikes I played, it captures the that feeling of just one more run. Because you just maybe this next run I'll get those perfect drops and
Totally.
I'll just turn into a killing machine.
Yeah, and you can pretty quickly see like if I get these combo of items, I'm gonna have the best thing ever.
Right.
And you do want to chase that down.
Right.
Um, yeah, that jumped up on my list of really good roguelikes. I can't think of another roguelike that does co-op as well. There's very few out there. Like we said, Risk
Mm-mm.
of Rain. I'm struggling to think of another one. Hades doesn't. Dead Cells doesn't.
Mm.
There's not a lot that have
No.
co-op. Oh, I guess Returnal does, but that's
I haven't played that one.
pretty good too. Yeah, that game is dope. It took up a lot of my week.
Yeah, we played that a lot this last week.
You been playing anything else?
Um yes, but right now I can't think of what it is.
Okay. I got into Everspace too.
Yeah, tell me about that.
That game launched a couple years ago in early access, and I played like 4 or 5 hours of it, and I was like, "This seems really dope," but I'm also 4 or 5 hours in, and I don't feel like I'm that far, and I am not going to want to restart this game. Come here, buddy. Come say hi.
For anybody listening, uh, Adam's cat Havel has jumped up on the table and is being very cute.
Hi. I love you. Sorry for the cat interruption. Anyways, I did not want to restart that game, so I waited, and I'm glad I did. Um, okay. Yeah, so I jumped into it a couple days ago. I'm about 9 hours in, and it is a. First off, it looks amazing. It is a like a realistic looking space combat game. It's very arcadey.
Okay.
It's not a sim game. Like if you're thinking like Elite Dangerous or I don't really want to say Star Citizen because Star Citizen's sort of in between. Star Citizen is simmy, but it's control wise, it's a lot more loosey goosey than something like Elite. But um, it it's like a. You ever played Descent? You ever played a 6 Degrees of Freedom game?
Nope.
Um, you know, you move in any direction, up, down, left, right, back, forward. So you have very acute control over your ship. Um, it plays best with a mouse and keyboard, in my opinion. I tried it with a controller, and it's okay. It's not a HOTAS game. It's one of those games where like you push forward and you're going forward at one speed. Like you don't need a throttle because there's no you're not really getting that deep into like there's no adjustable throttle. There's no like you're not adjusting the energy levels you're putting throughout your ship to boost shields and or energy or motor or engines.
So this is you're just in a ship the whole time. This isn't
You playing a ship.
you're a
You
ship.
have a character, but you're never getting out of your ship.
Okay. So it's like an evolution of I really never play games like this, but I looked it up after you mentioned it.
Mhm.
So it's like StarCraft or Star Fox kind of game.
No,
No?
because I mean,
Okay.
you played as a ship in Star Fox, but I mean, Star Fox was like you're following a rail.
Oh, okay. This is total freedom then.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
so this game
And
is
that
like,
wasn't immediately apparent from the trailer.
yes, okay. So yeah, it is like it's a the world is interconnected by these small little areas. They're not meant to be small, but they're relatively small. But like you have a map, you go into cruise speed or hyperspeed or whatever the fuck they call it, and you're bouncing around to different locations, and you know you're following a story, but there are side missions, and as you're traveling between locations, like little things will pop up, like a distress signal that you can go deal with
Okay.
that and like save people from outlaws destroying their ship or whatever. But it is very much. It feels like when you're playing it, it feels like a third-person shooter that has no gravity.
Okay.
Like the ship is almost inconsequential because you're just like following your cursor around and moving in
Right.
6 Degrees of Freedom. Um, but there is a loot system to it. So I see a lot of people saying that it's like a Diablo game, and well, I don't disagree. When you say Diablo, to me it evokes like this fast-paced feel of getting so much loot thrown at you and crushing through so many enemies at once that like this game does not have that feel. It's a little bit more slow and deliberate. You're fighting like 3 to 5 enemies at once, for the most part, and then like maybe sometimes like a second wave will come at you,
Okay.
but like you're not really like blowing through stuff. You feel if it's a really tight feeling shooter, but like every kill you get feels very deliberate. Where I feel like in Diablo, you sort of just look in a direction and use your abilities and things die.
Yeah.
This one is like, you know, an enemy they have shields, hull, and or shields, armor, and hull. And if they have shields, you better switch to like a plasma weapon or an energy weapon that does energy damage to get those shields down. And you know, when you're not doing that, you want to do regular kinetic damage, as they call it. And everything feels more deliberate than
Okay.
you're not really mowing through and getting that much loot, but there is loot to get. And if you go to like, to give an example, like a location could be like a big broken down spaceship, and you might fight some enemies around it, but then the goal could be to like look around the ship and try to find like the secret treasure that's in there, and then you might find that there's like there's a big bird outside. You might find that there's fucking ADHD man. You might find that there's like a treasure locked within something. You have to find a way to open it, and like you go looking for like an energy sphere, and then put it in this thing to power like the doors that open or whatever. So there are like little puzzles to solve. I will say like it's being that it's like three dimensional, like you're going in any direction. Like there's a lot more of time spent like floating around an asteroid or floating around a spaceship to try to find like the way in, or
Right.
try to find the thing you're supposed to be doing. Which is fine. I mean,
Does that feel good, or does that end up being kind of frustrating?
it can be a little frustrating. It is a slower game, and I
Yeah.
think that like I'm 9.5 hours into it, and probably like 9 hours in, or maybe 8.5 hours in, is when I got out of the first region, and that's when the game feels like it maybe is opening up now. Like I'm getting like a wealth of side missions,
Okay.
and like in the first area, like you can stop and do other stuff, but for the most part, like the other stuff is pretty inconsequential, and you're just trying to move through and get more ship upgrades. So the game sort of opens up a bit,
Right.
but there are different classes of ships that all seem really cool. And the one that I thought of you immediately was like, there's this one ship where it's basically a necromancer. Like you go up and if if there's a dead ship, you can salvage it and turn it into a drone to fight for you.
That's pretty cool.
And you can have like up to 5. Maybe that changes with gear, but you can have up to 5, and then your ultimate ability for that guy is like all of your drones have like hyper rate of fire and then like focus fire on whatever you're shooting at. So that's really cool.
That's cool.
And then there are other ones that are like stealth or bomber, or the one I'm doing is like every ship has 2 hard points where there's 2 guns shooting at once, and this one's a gunship, so there's 4. So you're shooting twice as much, but using twice the energy. So it's a trade off, but it's fun. They all have like really unique abilities that seem like they would change the play style quite a bit. And then there are like different like you can get upgrades to each ship that just make them like overall better stat wise. And then there are perks and stuff, which is like I wouldn't call it like an ability tree. There's a skill tree as well, but there are perks that like it's weird the way they feed them to you. Like you get characters that join your story basically. Like you have a friend, and then because he's your friend now, he's going to give you 3 different perks you can unlock. And then they just require like resources that you gather around the world to unlock them. Like the one I'm trying to get right now is you'll be able to see like what region has what type of mining node, which is really important because most of the resources you're trying to get are mining node stuff. But those take a long time to grind out and get the upgrade for. So I do feel like I like the game. I think the combat works really well. It's fun to fly around. It looks amazing and it runs really well. But I'm after about 10 hours, I'm still feeling like I haven't quite cracked into like where the gear and the build really comes together. Like I haven't really been working
Okay.
towards anything build wise because I've just been getting, here and there upgrades that like don't really synergize that well. Like I've gotten like one set, but like the first set bonus on it is like you can get more gear pieces from this set. It's great. But now that I have those, the other bonus is like pretty minimal. So
Okay. So like it doesn't really feel like at least as of yet that the gear is like a centrally thought out system.
I think it's going to be, but
Okay.
I think the pacing of the game is such that like even 10 hours in, I'm not seeing that yet. But like
Yeah.
I also haven't gotten anything. There's like I'm assuming that I've only seen uncommon gear, which is a step above the common gear. So like I'm assuming there's rare and maybe epic gear like later on that will be a lot better and maybe more unique.
Yeah.
But yeah, like right now it's all pretty basic. I'm curious to see like if there's something like a unique or a legendary tier of gear that will really change the way things play.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really well made space combat game, and I'm still enjoying my time with it. It is slow, especially when we're playing games like Gunfire, where like in 30 minutes you go from 0
Right.
to God. So
Yeah. I mean, it sounds interesting. I'm probably gonna check it out at some point.
there's a demo on Steam, and it's also on Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass,
I need to get Game Pass.
pretty good deal.
It seems like a really good deal.
Yeah, man. That's like the one service I'm keeping now.
Yeah.
It's,
You get so much shit with that.
yeah, I have a weird problem with Game Pass where my like assigned value for something is lower because I think of it, oh, this is free, it's always going to be there. Like I'm not really as committed to giving it my time. What is that? Do you have that problem?
Where when you play something, like you're not as invested because you didn't buy it, is what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Like I feel like if I
Hmm.
were to
think I
go
do.
out and purchase a game on a disc and plug it in, I'm gonna put some time into that game. I said plug in a disc. Fucking old man.
Yeah.
Pop a disc in.
We can cut that part out. Don't worry.
It's fine. I feel like I would give myself more time with something to like give it a shot than I do if it's on Game Pass and it doesn't hook me in the first 30 minutes.
I don't think I have that.
That's good.
Uh,
It's a
I
bad trait.
yeah. I mean, no. I think because I've bought plenty of games and I'm like, I hate this. I'm not playing it.
Okay, so you have it regardless.
What do you mean?
You turn a game away. How quick do you turn a game away?
Oh, sometimes too quickly.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. But
Do you feel like there has to be games that you've played that would probably click with you if they clicked faster?
I think so. But also so much of that is like I'm just not in the right mindset for some games. Just like when reading books. Like I'll try to start reading a book and I'm like, "Ah, this is just not doing it for me." And then I will pick that book up a year later and love it and get through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um And I think the same is true for games. I mean, what happened with you with Gunfire?
Yeah,
You were like, not really. And part of that's the co-op element, but
I'm pretty bad about going through my backlog.
oh, I'm
I'm
terrible at
trying
that.
to get better at it, but there are times where like I know that there's a cool game here, like Warhammer, Total War Warhammer, which should be called Total Warhammer.
It absolutely should.
uh, that game, it seems like something I would like if I like could get into like it's so deep,
It's so deep. I mean,
but it looks so like I love the
man,
world. I
it's a
love.
fun game. They're good games. Maybe that's a game we can play together.
Is it co-op? I don't want to
Sort of.
fight you. Don't turn off your
We
alliance.
can. We can. It's weird. You can sort of do co-op.
Okay.
You can do a campaign together. Well, this was in 2. I don't know if you can do it in 3, but
Wait,
we can mess around with it.
there's a
And play
third
around.
Total Warhammer?
Yeah,
What?
yeah. I
Oh.
think that's like within the last year.
Oh,
I
okay.
think
Maybe I was thinking. Okay, I thought the second one was the one just came out. It's
you're
the third
talking
one.
about like the big grand strategy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it's not it's not just RTS. It's more than that, right?
Yeah, it's like there's like a whole map that you move around and take objectives and take cities, and then when you get into a battle, it goes into a different screen,
And that's RTS.
and that's RTS. But it's not like StarCraft RTS. It's a lot slower.
Yeah,
Um, where
yeah.
you can like set a unit to go into a certain formation, and you have plenty of time to like react to stuff.
Gotcha.
Although things can still go really bad really quickly in those battles if you get flanked by cavalry that you didn't see. But that's interesting. Like that's what makes it interesting.
So you've played a good amount of those games?
hmm
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I've played a few campaigns.
Yeah, I find,
And
man, I find the world so interesting. I like the
I
idea of all
love
the
Warhammer.
units. But when I've loaded it up on Game Pass, and I'm like, this seems like too much.
Yeah.
I turn it off.
But no, you're absolutely right. It's oh man, getting into those games, it's so much work.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can spend it. I mean, at least maybe if you're more intelligent than I am, you can get it quicker. But for me, like reading tutorials and getting through that stuff, just like, oh my god, I have to like hammer the stuff into my brain to
Yeah.
understand it.
I think a good example of a game that I feel that way about, but you've spent endless hours in, is Path of Exile.
Yeah.
And I look at that game and I've put in 150 hours, and I don't really every time I come back to it, I'm like, I really don't understand what I'm doing. Like, I'm just following the builds you give me, and that's kind of a pain in the ass in and of itself, because
Yep.
like I can't play the game without someone else giving me a guide that they've made for me.
I mean, you can play that game.
Yeah, but I don't
Without a
feel like
guide.
I can, because I'll like look at this tree and I'm like, what do I even do here? Like you instinctively know, like, you need to get this much HP and this many attribute of this points to make this sort of build work, and I don't know. I feel like that game has so much to offer, so much depth, but it is so unapproachable for a normal person.
It is, but I would say a good deal of that the feeling of that unapproachability. Excuse me. Is that what am I trying to say? It's self-manufactured unapproachability, because when you open up the skill tree, you're like, how the hell do I navigate this?
Yeah.
But if you know what kind of character you want to play, that I think that's maybe the big problem.
That
Is
is
like
that is the thing. Is like
you
you know what items are in the game. So when they come out with a patch and they're like, we're adding these 2 items, you're like, okay, I now know what those 2 items are.
well, but I think what I'm saying is if you know the style of character you want to play, I want to be a big guy who smashes stuff.
Yeah.
Then you pick the Marauder, and you look in the skill tree. Whenever you open up the skill tree, if you want to use two-handed axes, you type in two-handed axes. Where are those nodes? Okay, I'm going towards those.
Yeah.
Like there is absolutely a way to play Path of Exile, blind and like new to the game. It feels very overwhelming, but you can get to in game just stumbling around in the skill tree and picking up the skills that you find along the way.
Yeah, I felt like there would be times where I think that and I'm like, okay, I want to use this skill. It's a smashy skill. That'd be perfect for the Marauder. Like, you should start with the this lady that's on the other side of the skill tree because she'll lead you to these nodes that'll be even better for this type of build. I'm like, I fucking don't like the
Hmm.
fact that like you don't always start with the Marauder for a smashy smashy, or you don't always start with the I don't know what the other names of the characters are. I'm not but for X build, like
Yeah.
the characters are not archetypes. They're just like a starting point.
Yeah. Yeah, the characters mean almost nothing. Well, not necessarily true. They do mean a lot more now that I say now that ascendancies are in the game. But
Right.
but that's
Right.
been there for years.
Right.
Been playing past so long that still seems like a new development to me.
Yeah, I forgot about those two.
Yeah, I mean, if I had told you that in the past, that's probably me misleading you on accident. But like,
No, I mean it's just like and anytime you show me a build, I'm like, that sounds cool. And I would think it would start with something else. It's like, oh no, it starts with this guy. I'm like, I'm so lost. But
yeah,
it's just the fact that like any character can kind of do anything
yeah,
in a lot of respects that makes it so scary. But I think when like we're gonna start this new league together, hopefully soon. I know you played a little bit of it, but hopefully, I think what I want to do this time is just like pick a direction on the skill tree and not follow a build, and maybe like
yeah.
be like, how much should I invest in this, and just go from there. Because yeah, it is.
What kind of archetype do you want to play?
I don't know. That's the other thing is like, I don't even know what the game has anymore. Like I've done so many like ground slam builds or what's the ice one? That's kind of like ground slam,
Ice Crush.
ice crash.
I was
Yeah,
say Ice Slam, but it's
ice
not
slam.
Ice Slam.
Yeah.
That sounds like a drink.
Yeah. I don't know. Like honestly, yeah, I really couldn't even tell you. I'll look, but
Yeah, I mean, I can give you some.
I always start with smashy smashies. Maybe I start with something else.
Yeah, I can give you some thoughts, but that's the great thing about Path is any conceivable archetype in any other ARPG outside of like a turret engineer build exists in Path. But even the turret engineer kind of exists in Path.
I think maybe I'll do necro
Yeah,
because
I'll have to see those patch notes. They might have destroyed that archetype
okay.
because it was like the most meta of all builds
Oh,
for
was
like
it?
5 years,
Oh, I didn't know.
and I think they just shot it in the head finally.
All right. Well,
But I
if
could
it
be
is,
wrong.
I think about the necro from Guild Wars. I'm like, that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, Path's Necro is really cool because you get to play Pokemon almost
So,
because they have a raised Spectre and they've nerfed the shit out of this gem for years. But any monster you see in the world, you can turn into a Spectre, which is fun because there are a lot of crazy mob types you get in Path, and
oh, so you get like their modifiers and stuff.
you get that. Yeah, you get that enemy. Whatever
Oh,
they do, whatever skill
that's
they use,
that's crazy.
whatever buffs they provide, you get that.
That's so crazy, dude.
And there's a lot of crazy stuff that they've toned that way down. But they used to have this recurring problem where they would come out with a new league, they'd introduce new monsters. One of those new monsters was ridiculously powerful when somebody raised it as a specter, and it was just like the meta for that league.
Yeah.
Um, but no other game gives you that much freedom to like make different types of necromancers. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited to play it. I mean, I every time I play it, I have fun. It is just like such a fucking crazy game.
it's very dense.
But it is a very good ARPG, and I feel like after playing some of the Diablo bit, I'm craving more ARPG.
Yeah.
So, what else we got? What are you floating away on me? Um,
That mic just does not want to stay down, does it?
it's just not quite the right weight or something. Okay. Um,
What other game stuff do we have? Anything?
I don't. I mean, I completed the second battle pass in Call of Duty.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty proud of that.
Nice job,
I
dude.
God, I really like that game. I mean, I have like the most like I'll do the same thing over and over and over for hours. I've just been using the crossbow for like 2 weeks. That's it. And I'll use the crossbow and the rocket. I'll like shoot a crossbow bolt and immediately switch to my rocket launcher in case my crossbow bolt in case my crossbow bolt misses,
You got it.
and then I'll switch to a rocket
Hell yeah.
launcher, and then it's just like it's such a fun 1-2 punch of like explodey crossbow bolt and explodey rocket, and yeah, I've just done that for hours on end.
I wish. I wish. I wish
I
I get
wish
it. I
too.
wish I get into those games. I think we'd have a lot of
I
fun.
wish too. Maybe the next one. I don't know what the next time they release a good Black Ops is definitely one we should play because I'm really in the mood for futuristic weapons and gadgets and
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, I enjoy it whenever I play it, but but after a week, I'm like, okay, that's it. I've played this game.
Yeah, I mean, most of them I would say I would play for like a couple weeks or a month, but yeah, this one I've definitely been playing for a long time.
Still been playing League of Legends on and off.
That's right.
Yeah.
How's that going?
I really like that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a group of people I play with pretty regularly. Um, I mean, we're all terrible at the game because we're all old, but you know, it's still fun. It's just something about that game that I just keep coming back to. I don't know what it is.
When I played Smite, the best part about it for me was like synergizing with other characters. Is that I'm assuming that's a big part of
Yeah,
League.
I think the draw for me at least, and I think for a lot of people in League, is that you keep chasing that feeling of being overpowered by getting ahead, by getting kills early and getting ahead, because then you get to just dominate a game, and that's really fun.
Gotcha.
Um, but I mean, they just have so many characters now. Like you can't you can't not find a character that you really enjoy playing at this point in League of Legends history.
Do you stick with a core group or do you kind of bounce around? You
Uh,
seem like the kind of person who bounces around
two different characters.
Yeah.
I bounce around a lot less than I used to. I
Okay.
used to never be able to play the same character twice in a row.
Really?
Yeah, like I would always need to be playing some different. But I've honed in on a few different characters, and I'm really enjoying lately getting really good with like one character at a time before I move on to another one. Yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah, it's weird that we're opposite in that way where I'm like I want repetition. I'm do the one fun thing over and over. Like even in Gunfire, I'm
Yeah.
like I got that dual Gatling gun build and I was like I just want to do that over and over and over.
Oh man, it was one of our first couple of runs.
Yeah.
You got an absolutely broken run,
That's
and
so,
you were chasing that for
so
days.
it's so much fun. I
Uh,
love that game like really gives you. I feel like I had moments in that game that like I see you have in Path. Where you're like, oh my god, these skills can synergize and make something fucking crazy.
mm-hmm.
And it's like Gunfire's so bite sized that it's easier to see those things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I see those. I'm like, oh my god, this works together. Yeah, dude, it's so much fucking fun.
Yeah. Um, outside of games,
Outside of games,
I think I'm being haunted by little tiny letters.
yeah, letters.
Really little, like, like, like a millimeter. I mean, like tiny.
The fuck are you
Like you
talking
can't even.
about?
You can't even. You have a hard time seeing them. Okay.
Can't see letters anyway.
You can't see letters.
No, go on.
Is that a condition?
Yeah.
Okay. Um. So I've just started. This sounds
Sounds so stupid.
so
What is
crazy.
it? I feel like you're setting me up for a
No,
dumb
no,
joke.
no, I'm not setting you up for a dumb joke. I I've been sitting at my desk
Uh-huh,
at home,
uh-huh.
and I keep seeing these little tiny letters show up on my desk, and I'm like, what the fuck are these? Where are they coming from? And I've checked everywhere.
But
Like,
they're real.
yeah, yeah, this is real.
You're seeing real
I'm seeing real
letters.
tiny letters.
Can I write one so small that you would think it's that size?
Yeah,
That small?
yeah, about that small.
I tried to write a G, but it came out as a C.
Yeah, yeah, they're that small. You would have to get. I'm like, wait, what is that? At first, I thought they were like my desk was dirty, and then I was like, that looks like an M or a letter, whatever it was. Um, and they keep showing up.
Do you think it's like the ants trying to give you a message?
Well,
Have you collected the letters in
so
order?
that was my big mistake. Is if this is like a ghost, I think I'm coming in way too loud. If this was like a ghost or ants
Uh-huh.
trying to send me a message, I've already discarded like a dozen.
Yeah.
I know, but
After the first one,
I didn't know
You
what was happening.
you have to be like,
So,
"There's a second letter here?"
well, after the first one, I was like, okay, surely it's my mouse. Something's coming off from somewhere.
Yeah.
But I checked my keyboard. I checked my mouse. I checked everything on my desk. It's nothing.
It is something. I believe it is.
It's nothing on my desk. Now, listen, because I was sure it was something on my desk that I was missing. Because
Uh-huh.
of course it is. How else would it be getting on my desk? But then I went to Rooster Teeth because I'm still doing contract work at Rooster Teeth on this last Wednesday, and there was two letters on the desk. Same, the exact same ones.
Is this like a very elaborate prank
What the
someone's
fuck
playing
is
on you?
this? I don't know. I do not know.
I wonder if it's like you're putting your hand on something that like has like letters on it that are like like
It's
degrading,
loose
and then getting
lettering,
onto your hand, and then you're putting it on your desk, and like those
but what
letters.
would I put? There's nothing.
I feel like I'm trying to think of like labels that like you can accidentally dissolve, and the letters will come off as a whole piece. Because I've
Yeah.
had that happen, but
But it's like one or two at a time. Over the span of weeks, this has been going on.
what were the most recent letters?
This morning there was an F
F.
on my
Fuck.
desk. Fuck.
All right.
I,
Well,
I really do wish.
you should write down all
Yeah.
of the letters
Yeah.
that you come up with. So F.
Okay.
Um,
We'll go from there.
yeah.
We'll build off that one.
Start with F.
Okay. So if it's a ghost,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They're not following you
Start the
here.
message over.
This is a safe place.
How do you know? They followed me to work?
I know. Look at all these books I got on ghosts and stuff. Occult Chemistry. That book is from 1912.
Wouldn't they be more likely to come here?
No, they're afraid of my old books.
Okay. Not sure follow, but I believe you.
Oh man. Do you can we tangent into ghost? Do you believe in ghosts?
Sure, I do not believe in ghosts.
Man, you're so fucking boring.
I mean, I'm not saying I know they don't exist, but there's no evidence that they exist
Okay. Are you open
whatsoever.
to the idea of them existing?
I'm open to the idea of everything existing.
Okay. Even big ghost.
Big ghost.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, like I'm there definitely could be a god, there definitely could be ghosts.
Well, were you religious at one point in
I
your
was
life?
religious, yeah.
So you did believe in God,
Yeah, because I was raised to believe
but
in God.
did you believe in ghosts when you believed in God? You must have.
I mean, at a certain point, what's the difference between like the devil, demons, and ghosts? You know, and they're all kind of the same concept,
I
right?
mean, it's all supernatural.
Yeah, and I believed in demons and the devil.
Gotcha. It's
So
interesting. It's interesting to. I was raised religious, but like I never bought into any of it. And by the time I was 13, I was like, get me the fuck out of here, dude.
yeah,
Um, it's interesting to talk to people that were formerly religious and have that was like you went to church and stuff.
mm-hmm.
Like that to me is
A
crazy.
lot.
Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just so different than what I am.
Yeah,
So
what you are or what you were.
I would go to. I was raised Jewish. I would
Mhm.
go to synagogue, but I never once believed in any of it.
Oh, okay.
I hated it. It was all it was something taking me away from my video games.
Yeah,
Um, but like I feel like I'm a spiritual person a little bit now, but like I've never seen a ghost. I wish I did. Stupid ghosts. We-
yeah, yeah. I mean, I wish I could too. I mean, everybody does. Everybody wishes they had tangible proof of something else.
Yeah.
Something to suggest that this isn't all there is.
Yeah, I feel like if you actually saw a ghost, it would be like, oh, this now everything's different, but it isn't because I have multiple people in my life, and I don't want to out them because I don't know if they want to be outed,
Sure.
but I have multiple people in my life who have um, told me that they've had ghost experiences, whether that be like they have physically seen a ghost in person or like, well, basically it's just that. And both of these people are people I have 100% trust in and faith in, and how like how do you reconcile that when you're a logical person who has never I would be open to the idea, but I've never seen it. So to me, it's all like when I see people online being like, "There's a ghost," I'm like, Get the fuck out of here! You're dumb or you're being goofy." And so it's hard to I believe you, but also my beliefs may be counter to that.
Yeah, like I believe that they believe that.
Yeah.
And that sounds patronizing, but that's not how I intended to be. Like I 100% believe that if you told me I saw a ghost and it wasn't part of some dumb joke that you were playing on me, I would I would 100% believe that you believe it.
Mhm.
I wouldn't believe that you saw a ghost, but I believe that you believe it.
Yeah. That is patronizing.
It's not though. Well, but because and so there's been plenty of studies to show how fallible human perceptions are, like our perceptions of like what's around us.
uh
Even like even our memory is so fragile, like way more fragile than we think it is.
Yeah.
And because as soon as you remember something, your brain is creating a copy of that memory, and every time you remember it, it becomes distorted.
Mm.
And that's kind of terrifying to think about because how do you know what's real? And your most accurate memories are the things you don't think about a lot often,
Hmm.
but your most distorted memories are the ones you think about often. And if you see something, first of all, if you're primed mentally to see something, you will, because our brains uh, are designed for pattern recognition. Like
Yeah.
that's how we've evolved.
I have a good example of that that happens to me. Grace was doing some laundry and she put her shoes, black shoes, on the counter, and I would see that out of the corner of my eye. And the corner of my eye, it was 100% my black cat because my brain was like, "This is your black cat. I'm filling in a picture of your
Yeah.
black cat," but it's not my black cat. It's shoes.
Yeah. So if your brain is
Ghost.
if your brain's primed to recognize a certain pattern, you're going to see that pattern. And that's not like a man, again, that sounds patronizing, but it's not. Everybody does that.
So, do you think you wouldn't even believe yourself then?
I do not think I would believe myself. I don't know. That's tough to say for sure.
Yeah.
But I just feel like if ghosts exist, we could have probably proven that by now. You know, unless it's such an infrequent phenomena that it's just extremely rare.
I mean, it could also just like it could be that whatever laws of physics or whatever apply to capturing a ghost on camera don't apply. Maybe this is just something that we, although we can see it with our eyes, it doesn't abide by the same rules. It's a spiritual thing. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, but that in and of itself would violate all the known laws of physics.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Aren't we discovering? I haven't been following James Webb closely enough, but aren't they discovering a lot of shit where they're like, "This is not the way we thought the universe was made."
I don't
They're
know.
discovering. I read one thing that they were like they discovered a planet that was around from before the Big Bang. They're like, how did it get here?
Yeah. Microphone, dude. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
When you drill down to the quantum realm and how it doesn't work how anything we've come to expect works, and there's no theory to explain how the quantum fabric of reality can possibly operate in our macro universe.
Hmm.
It's crazy.
It's too deep.
It is too deep. I mean, yeah, and stuff like that makes me think okay, this is probably a simulation, or I mean, what really is the difference between a simulation and a guy who created it all?
Right.
Those are essentially the same thing, the same answer.
Sure.
But But yeah, I mean, I think there's probably some outside actor on our universe. It's probably not anything like what's written down in any book, though.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I super wish I could have like I'm open to. I should say I'm not spiritual, but I'm very open to spirituality, and I wish that I could be more. But I just like I
Yeah,
can't just like believe in something.
I can't either.
You know?
I guess I would say I'm sort of similar to you. I'm very open to having my mind changed,
Yeah,
but just show me evidence.
yeah. I went hunting for ghosts. I could not find one. We went to New Orleans and we stayed in the oldest. Or wait, no, Salem's where we stayed in the oldest bed and breakfast in America. Is like 300 years old. Brought all of our ghost equipment, which includes UV lights.
How did that go?
Pretty good. We still have the recording. We haven't listened to it. We got bored,
Yeah,
but no ghosts.
pretty light on games for a games podcast.
Well,
This,
it's a games and other stuff
yeah.
podcast.
No, I think this has been great.
You got anything coming up you're looking forward to play?
Um, man, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what is coming out.
Dead Island 2 is coming out this month on the 21st.
What is what? Say that again.
Dead Island 2?
Oh, I don't think I played Dead Island 1.
No. Dead Island 1 was good.
Is it what is it?
It's a first person zombie smashing game,
Oh,
but
okay.
it has a loot system and it also has co-op.
Cool.
It's very much like a melee focused game where you're kind of piecing together weapons and getting cool mods and stuff like that. But I don't know. The first one was good enough that I'd be interested to see how the second one is and maybe do some co-op.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the month, Jedi Survivor's coming out, which I really like the first one. So
I liked the first one. Yeah, I have a really hard time finishing single player games though, and it bums me out because
Bums me out.
I want to play more of them. But I mean, it's like I can only ever play Dark Souls single player.
and you consider that single player even though it's co-op and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it is. I mean, it has co-op, sort of. It's not true co-op.
It's not, but like I've played that game with my friends where we'll go through each area and I'll help him or he'll help me
Yeah.
in all of them.
I guess I've never had a friend who wants to do that with me.
I would. I think
Yeah.
if there's one game that you haven't played yet that I would like you to play, it's Neo 2. Because it takes stuff from Dark Souls, but it's its own action game. And it has like a depth to the loot and the builds that I think you would like.
I want to get into it. I tried. And we talked about this a little bit. Like I tried playing it. Man, I don't know. There's something about the simplicity and approachability of Dark Souls combat that, like, man, that's what does it for me. And it has a lot of
Yeah.
depth to it beyond that.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But like,
You're light and heavy attack, and then maybe like a forward R1 or something like that, or a backstep R1.
right. But then as you get comfortable with weapon, yeah, you notice like, okay, well, its jump attack is different. Its roll attack
Yeah.
is different. It's like you can combo in different interesting ways. But I booted up Neo and it's like, okay, I gotta learn like how to do all of this shit with the sword. I don't even remember what it was, but it's
Yeah,
like
they have different
se-
stances.
yeah, like
Low,
flipping
mid, high. And
stances.
they have a bunch of different abilities with each one.
I don't do well when a game throws all of that at me at the beginning,
Yeah.
which is why I don't do well in typical like Asian MMOs, Asian RPGs because they always front load everything.
Yeah.
And I think for most people that works. Like get all the learning out of the way so that I can play the game. And for me, it's like information overload and I end up quitting because I can't handle all that information at once.
Yeah, I think it's a fine balance. Like I need something where they give me enough tools early on that it's still like, wow, these are really fun tools. But if you give me too much, I'm the same. Like I'm never going to use half these things. And I still run into games where I play them and like Resident Evil 4 is a good example of didn't have too much, but like they throw in stuff like a parry, and I'm like, I've never fucking used the parry, even though it might be useful. I've never used it because there's other things I have to worry about getting used to.
Yeah, man. And I have to tell you, it's one of the things I hate the most about Asian MMOs. Uh, not only did they do the information overload, but every single one that I have played, and inevitably it almost always drives me to quit the game immediately, is they all have a welcome to this game, run around this city for an hour
Dude.
plus, and talk to all of these people.
Yeah. Yeah, my mind immediately went to Final Fantasy 14.
Final Fantasy, Black Desert. I mean, every single one I've played. Lost Ark did the same thing. Like,
Dude,
what? Why? Why do you? Why do they all do that?
I don't know.
And it drives me up a wall.
Yeah, and it can take like an hour for some
Yeah,
of those to like, especially Final Fantasy. Those cities are so fucking big and goddamn. Yeah, no, totally. It's a bad thing that they do.
and well, so I'm curious. Like, who is that? Who is that for? Who likes that?
The people that are there to live the character. They're there to immerse themselves in the world and
Hmm.
like they talking and walking around that city is as much part of the game to them as getting out and killing monsters and getting loot and leveling up. You know, I think for us, like we're so much like move as fast as you can, get as fast like a level as fast as you can, get your gear as fast as you can, get the best gear, just because like that's where the fun stuff is, like getting powerful. But a lot of people, especially people who play Final Fantasy, I can't speak to Lost Ark and Black Desert, but like people who play Final Fantasy 14 are playing that game to like live their characters.
Hmm.
Like they'll fish all day, they'll walk around the city and just like they'll just do like dances, or they'll play. They have people play like lutes and other instruments in there, like the bard class. Like it's for them. I wish I could be them. I wish I could.
I do too.
Wish I could enjoy. And Final Fantasy, like it's a story game too. Like that game has so much cutscene,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't like cutscene. Even though I played a good amount of Final Fantasy, like I skip all the cutscenes, which is like sacrilegious if you play that game. It's like what that game is about is the cutscenes
Yeah.
story. But
How, man. Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I could be those kind of people. I wish I could play games for the story.
I've found myself as I get older, skipping more and more and more cutscenes.
Yeah.
I really appreciate when a game has like a 15-20 second cutscene. That's it. I came close to skipping some of the cutscenes in Everspace, but they're short enough that I'm like, this is fine.
Man. That's why we like FromSoft games. 'Cause
Yeah.
their cutscenes are perfect.
No, they like throw you in the game, and that's it. They have a
Well,
really cool intro cutscene.
well, they've been getting better about, well, not, I don't say better. They've been doing more of the boss intro cutscenes, which I really like.
Oh yeah, I'm
You
thinking
walk
like
into the
Gaping
room
Dragon.
and some guy's like, "Ah."
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of the ones from the first game. Gaping Dragon was my favorite one because it like you see this small little guy and then it's a big guy. And you're like,
Yeah.
that's why they call it the Gaping Dragon. Like, horrifying.
Oh man. Who was the first guy you fight in Elden Ring? First big.
Godfrey? No, not Godfrey. The
Uh,
Mildred Morgbath Mingbor something.
yeah. That intro was
Mogred Morgan.
amazing. Lowly tarnished, playing as a lord, command thee kneel,
Yeah.
and then immediately into the fight. Like that's what every boss intro should be. Is so awesome.
Did you beat Elden Ring
Yeah.
and everything? Yeah, that game is so fucking good.
Incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited for DLC.
I mean, I will say I think I prefer the fully structured linear experience of Dark Souls. Just because there's only, I mean, I don't know, there's only so much you can do with open world stuff before it starts to feel kind of repetitive. I feel like all those side dungeons were, a lot of them started to feel pretty samey
I
and not that interesting.
only felt that way because the rewards at the end were something that for the most part I knew I wasn't going to use. Like once I had my mimic tier, I was like, I'm never going to use another summon.
Yeah,
There's really no point. So like it was fun to go and collect them all, but it was just to like, fill my collection. And the same thing goes for most weapons. I didn't know what all the weapons were, but like once I had a weapon to plus whatever, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the weapon I'm going to use for most
yeah,
of the game.
and they made upgrade materials hard to get,
They did.
and that really, that sucked because then we couldn't really try different weapons very easily.
No. Um, I'm trying to think. I did the golden halberd for like probably 60% of that game or more. I'm trying to think of what I ended it with, but I only used like a couple of the weapons because of that, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, Dark Souls did similar, but it was easier to farm them in Dark Souls, the original one, or the original three.
I want to say if and maybe I'm remembering this wrong. That when you got to the next tier of upgrade
You could buy the
materials,
old
you
ones.
you either could buy it or there was an easy place to farm it,
Yeah, yeah,
and there was not an easy place to farm any of that in Elden
yeah.
Ring.
The only thing with Dark Souls you couldn't do was you could only get like one slab to put your weapon to max like plus 10 or whatever per run, or maybe two slabs depending
Yeah.
on. But yeah, I I really like the structure of Elden Ring. I was playing it and I was like, it's going to be hard for me to go back to linear Dark Souls because of the freedom that it offers you. Like the
Really?
ability to just like, I don't want to do this. This is too hard, and go somewhere else and explore was really fun. But again, it is like the first couple run throughs you do it is one thing. Subsequent run throughs, like my first run through, I did everything on the map,
Hmm.
and then my second run through, I did like nothing. I only did the stuff you need to do, and that's where it sort of breaks down.
Yeah. So that's I think that's my biggest problem is I think I'm gonna have a hard time playing another run through of Elden Ring
Yeah,
because I'm not interested in doing the open world stuff again. Whereas in Dark Souls, or I've played each one of those games a few times, and every time feels fun
yeah,
because the design is so perfect and
yeah.
like structured.
I'm always ready to do another Dark Souls remaster playthrough. The two is the only one I have not played through like enough.
Yeah,
Um, I've tried. It just plays so fucking weird.
it's weird, but my second playthrough of two, I liked it a lot better than the first time.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some super weird stuff in that game. Like the whole torch mechanic that like got half used.
Hmm.
Um, the combat felt almost entirely different.
Hmm.
They added dual wielding, right? Am I right? Yeah.
Dual wielding and weapon stances.
Yeah, that game was super fucking weird. I liked it though.
They it was a lot of experimental stuff.
Yeah,
It was cool.
some of the areas like I really like the vibe of them. But yeah, it's something I need to go back to and play. But I played so much Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3. It's hard to.
Yeah. Anything else?
I got more stuff to talk about. We can talk about it next time.
Yeah. This feels like a pretty good place to end it.
All right. See y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.